So here's the front suspension axle unit, off and onto the bench. As you can see, I've done a fair bit of cleaning on this, but there's a lot of little detail parts that are just really hard to get to with it all together. Plus, given the state of the bearings in the rear axle, I want to have a look at these because chances are that these are going to need replacing as well. Since I'm going to do that, I've got to disconnect the steering, so might as well take it apart to a certain degree and allow me to clean and paint. These require a ball joint separator, so I may leave them attached, but if I remove them it means I can remove this cover plate here, which means I can get in here and paint properly, but I probably don't really need to, so I may not, but it's just faffing around if I don't. I have a new rubber here that I can fit if I do. Well, we'll see. So, but what I want to do is take these off, so that's a project for today, or however long it takes me, because I'm going to be doing it in bits and pieces. For now, I've just taken the bolts out of here that the mudguard mounts were connected to, and I just tap that apart, so that's off. The length and adjustments in here are critical for your tracking and so forth, so I'm going to leave those alone for the moment. We'll see. I might change. I don't know. I have considered changing these to the Burton type, although in reality, I mean, you know, these have worked well on 2CVs for the past 50 years, so maybe slight exaggeration. I don't know how long these particular things. It's a bit agricultural, but it works. It might not be the best looking thing in the world, but anyway. So this I'm leaving alone for the moment. Even if I take that bar off, I'm not changing anything in terms of angles or length of this rod. So the steering still should be set up properly. The tracking should be set up properly when I just bolt it back on. So this I'm going to leave. So all I need to do now is take off this end plate. That is the way that the suspension shock absorbers mount. You can just see it under there, perhaps you can't. On the front axle, I need to take these two mounting points for the anti-roll bar off while I'm here and while it's attached, so they come off. I've had them off obviously because I've taken the anti-roll bar off. So I'm just going to unbolt these now, and then we'll have a look at taking this apart. Okay, so here we are with the cover plate removed. We have just the pin here, which just locks this in place. So if we can just remove that easily. This one looks like a bit of a tight fit. I think I've used a bit of a long, oversized one here. There we go. Now this locking pin here, or ring, isn't normally on that tight. It's a little bit mucky around here. there's a special tool you can use. You can just drift it round. You can, there's marks on here for it being drifted round in both directions. Drifting is probably the most common way because most people won't buy the tool. You can make a tool, as I say, or you can drift. Now, the tool is just a tube with pins on. That if you can find some slots that people haven't used to drift the thing round. This one looks like it's been drifted a few times. It's a question of finding the right slots. Looks like I might end up having to drift this one round because I can't get the tool in. Okay. I'll get it back out again now. I say it's not normally on tight. Famous last words. There you go. So it's not normally held on tight, as you will guess by the clevis pin pinning it through. It's just on there tight enough for the wheel bearings to actually hold. And then that comes out. This is actually a seal with the actual castellated nuts here separately. They're normally quite a tight fit together, but that's actually two different things. And this doesn't look like, on the back they were fibre, so I'm guessing this is a new seal. And there we are, that's the bearings, which look nice and oily. And in theory now it would just come apart. So in my experience it doesn't ever just come apart, but in theory it could. One more piece of wood, I think. This is a bit inconvenient on here. Yeah, in my experience it doesn't tap off, because you've got to push apart the corrosion. So I always tend to apply a little bit of leverage, just gentle, doesn't need much. Making sure that you do it on the yeah, it looks like this has been apart, and so this should all be fine. These are new oil seals in here, but when you lever on the back you don't want to be levering on the oil seal but on the metal lip here on the outside, and given these are cast parts that you're levering against, so you don't want to be doing it too hard. There we go. Yeah, I think this is all new, this is all good, which is good news for me because it means I won't have to buy new bearings. And this is the awkwardly heavy side, so because I've still got the drive shaft attached here, which is why it's trying to fall apart on me. There we go. And you also need to just drift it past the bearings. There we go. Alright, just going to put this down. Right, so that's just fallen out of the hub here. Yeah, these are really greasy. What I was saying is, you've got to get this bearing off the end of this tube. I'll show you. Let me move the camera. Right, so here's the bearing. Now, this is the one that we saw just sitting in the end there. This is it's an interference fit onto here. So this is obviously how it sits here with these two coming in. You've got to push that off or tap it off because it's an interference fit just on here. But these are really well greased. These feel good. The question is, what are the bearing races like down in here? Now we can't see all of them, but these feel good to me. Yeah, that one's fine, and there's lots of grease lurking around in here along with the new seals. So whilst here you can see there's corrosion along here, in here, these all feel good to me, so that's great news. If the other side's the same, and I imagine it is, looks like this was taken apart when the car was built and rebuilt, and they're still in good condition, so that's great. It means I don't have to replace bearings, which saves me money. Don't have to take those bearings off. Need to check the other side, and as I say, because now I can get this apart, well, now I've got it apart, I can actually get in and clean this sort of stuff, which was just a pain in the backside, with it all attached in one big unit. The other thing about taking this apart means that I can finally get my 1-inch breaker bar onto this nut to release the drive shaft. So it was a bit stiff, it has to be said, but as you may be able to see, it has finally decided that it will come off. So yay, makes life easier for cleaning this stuff up, so great bonus.